one of my clients, and then Sunday I go down to San Diego because and I'll be down there till Wednesday, so I won't be here Wednesday because I'll be down there doing that thing for
I'm gonna
my.
have to fine you. That's it. You're gonna have to. I'm gonna
You're gonna have
fine
to find
you.
me.
That's it. FINE, not FIND.
So
I don't have to find you. I know where you are. Now I know where you are.
Do you want Mike's information? You want his phone number, Kurt?
Well, don't give it out now. Put it in the chat.
Yeah.
But doesn't Mike also do seminars?
Do seminar. What do you mean by do seminars?
Didn't
Give
he have
seminars
like
or
didn't he do something about showing off, teaching Yamaha or something like that recently? Was that the same guy?
uh
Well, we went to a class recently at Mastermind in
Mastermind,
Anaheim.
Chad, yeah,
That's Chad
Chad,
Griswold.
Chad at Mastermind, does a lot of that in his shop, and he's got like Ravages, and he's got DM7s, and he's got a boatload of stuff, and he just bought
he's
a
got
bunch
a
of
lot
L
of
acoustics
gear.
too. Yeah, he's a JBL house for the most part, but he just bought a bunch of Sivas, and and he's been getting into the L acoustics thing, which I have recently started to love also.
I just haven't got on. I just have not got on board with the whole SIVA thing.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
You know what? For what they are, I mean, they're okay. I don't think they're worth the money because they're expensive as shit. But you know what? You put a little, they work fine. They're
Yeah,
fine.
but they have the same limitation as every one of those little column thingies.
Yes, same
you
limitations.
Figure out a way to get them up in the air.
You got to get them up in the air. Yep.
And at 140 degrees wide or whatever they are, they're very wide. You've got to be. Now, I've used them twice. The first time, I absolutely hated them. They sucked dick. They were so bad.
I hated them the first time too because I didn't put them up on a sub. Well, they had them high enough. They worked great.
I was in the foyer, the lobby of Oracle headquarters in Austin, and we had them. And because of their width for that, they actually worked really well. So
my problem is they're 140 degrees wide, and that's just too freaking
Hey,
wide.
wait. This is the perfect opportunity for me to say, hey, everything you hear today is an opinion. Welcome to Thinking Out Loud with Friends. We're in the middle of a heated debate.
Are we
just
on
remember,
now?
everything you hear is an opinion. Okay, now go back and talk about SIVA. Go ahead. See if I care.
Well, I was just at a little trade show. So, Marty, it's interesting that you said you are representing Flat Panel because they were exhibiting today at the little Clearwing AVL Expo that I went to in Mesa, Arizona.
Did you go out there today?
Yeah, it was interesting. And
yeah, I was booked for today, but I had a lot of stuff to do around the house. I went yesterday and
I just want to be fair in that I did get a lanyard from Acoustics.
Yeah. Oh, and what's his name is down there? Guy out of Florida. Raul. Raul was setting up the JBL room.
Raul was such a great guy. I haven't seen him in ages.
I went to their little demo, but I didn't see Raul.
Yeah, no, he was only there yesterday. He left.
Oh, yeah.
He went to go do the Latin Grammys.
He's
There's another Latin Grammys thing, but he was set up there.
960. So Wayne, what did you think of the flat panels? Did you get to hear him?
Standing 6 feet away from him with the little double 12 sub, it sounded pretty impressive. How that translates into bigger venues and blah 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 the only way to find out is to do it, I think.
Well, Marty, this is a perfect opportunity for you, Marty, to just tell us a little bit about what you're doing and talk about Flat Panel, because you did send me a very interesting article about sound at concert venues, sound levels. You went to that, or you put that on?
So, well, there's a couple of webinars that happened recently. I went to the second one that was put on by a couple of different companies, or organizations rather, not necessarily companies, but the Professional Audio Manufacturers Alliance sponsored this one. They've got a whole program around this, and it follows the World Health Organization's global standard for safe listening at venues and events. And associated with that is this other organization called HELA, Healthy Ears Limited Annoyance. And the whole gist of it is that they're really pushing safe limits on concerts and other events, loud venues, preserving the hearing for the audience. And I'm just trying to make sure that people enjoy things more. And it's a pretty reasonable limits that they're saying. This is a 120-page document that goes through just so much about sound design and volume levels and operational principles and I guess the basis is that they want to see a limit of 100 dB A-weighted SPL over an average of 15 minutes.
So can you put a link to that document in the chat?
I will put a link to all three of these into the chat.
I put the flat panel thingy in the link to the flat panel website. I put that in the chat as well.
Yeah, so there's actually two. The official flat panel audio website has lots of information on it. It's great. It's a bit dry for my taste. So I put this one together because I'm the regional Mid-Atlantic and North Atlantic channel manager. Flat panel speakers is a really interesting product because it has no woofers, tweeters, compression drivers, or horns, or crossovers. It is 3.5 inches thick, and it drives air using a very thin carbon fiber plate that is driven by transducers on the back. It doesn't push air, it resonates. And it's amazing. It goes from 85 hertz to 22 kilohertz, single driver. It generates sound waves in a way that cannot cause reflection-induced comb filtering or phase cancellations, no slapback off the rear wall. Reflections are constructive in the room, which means that they combine constructively to reinforce the sound power in the room. They bend around architectural columns. They work great in any kind of reflective or reverberant space. They absolutely superior speech intelligibility, compared to anything else. I mean, I'm not sure why this isn't animating, but, with a typical point source loudspeaker, you get reflections off the walls. With flat panel speakers, it's kind of spraying particles all around and reflections, kind of like if you put a diffusion panel on a wall, it breaks up the sound in ways that eliminates any detectable reflection. This is a diffuse sound source. So
it kind of reminds me of the magnaplanar home speakers.
So magnaplanars are electrostatic speakers.
Or electromagnetic.
These are not that technology. This is a completely different technology. And they are, I've had them out at concerts. I've had them in hotel breakout rooms. I've had them in ballrooms. They're really pretty cool. There's a bunch of, on this website, and I'll put this in the chat too. I put a bunch of demo videos on here that are pretty impressive. I mean, you won't tell the particular sound quality, but you'll be able to some degree tell that. But the evenness when they're walking around a venue like this here on the bottom.
So what about rejection from the rear? Like
from,
like if you're behind them on the stage with a panel of 8 guys on labs, I mean, how is the, what's their radiation pattern?
Yeah, okay. So it is a bi-directional speaker. So sound does come out of the back. And while you may think that that's a problem, and in some cases it might be if you are really too close to it, because it's a diffuse and uncorrelated sound source, it is not as much a problem as you think. We had them at an outdoor festival recently. I had 2 panels on each side, and people were sitting off stage and heard perfectly, audience members, because the front was too crowded. Some of the band members thought they were a bit too loud on stage, and that was because I had them like right off the stage at ear level instead of having them higher. So they would have been better. But if you can have any kind of distance to the stage, I've even had them behind performers
Really?
without any kind of feedback.
Can you
What kind of dispersion are they?
So dispersion is 165 degrees full bandwidth.
Wide.
Not just at 1K, not just above the crossover, but full bandwidth from 85 to 22K.
Wow.
165 degrees, vertical and horizontal, which means that
Holy
it'll
cow.
cover balcony as well as the floor. And multiple speakers, even next to each other or separated, they do not interfere with each other. There's no interference. So you can
that's
array
kind of strange.
vertically, you can array them horizontally, you can matrix them 2x2, 3x3, any way you want to do it, and there is no phase cancellation.
So
what
what
is
Is that
advantage?
because
what's
they
the
don't have
vertical
cones?
coverage?
There were two questions there.
Yeah, there's the three of us talking at the same time. Go ahead.
Well, that's okay.
I'm just curious what the vertical, okay, so it's 140 watt. What's the vertical?
No, it's 165 degree conical.
Oh, it's
Horizontal
conical.
and vertical. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay,
why would you
so-
array? Why would you use more than one? Like why would you array them? What's the
Just for
advantage?
volume, just
So-
for SPLs.
So that's what you get out of it is volume.
Yeah, you get an additional 3 dB for every
For
additional
doubling.
panel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are they capable of as far as SBL? What do they put out?
So if you look at the spreadsheet, it'll say 92. However,
What, 1 watt, 1
92
meter,
at
92?
how many feet?
at how many feet? I guess it's a meter.
Okay, a meter. Hey, we're talking metric now. Hey, I don't know. I hope we don't lose
3
people.
feet
Okay.
or so, in front of the
We get a
speaker.
big international audience now.
However, we've had these. We've had these when we do demos. Some of our guys have had these in venues where there was like a line array hung, and they did an SPL test where they had both systems one at a time adjusted for the same perceived volume, and the flat panels measured on an SPL meter 6 dB lower. Which means that they sound 6 dB louder than they measure. Which
And
is
what's
kinda
the throw distance?
kinda
How
curious.
far will they throw?
So with 1 or 2 panels, we say maximum of 150 feet.
So then, in a situation like that, you're hanging in an optical or a circle or around the room to cover the rest of the room, rather than having delay towers.
So you can have delay towers. So with 165 degrees, what's interesting is that if you were going to array them, you can't model them, first of all, because the modeling does not work, because they are the sound waves are randomized, random phase, random direction, and ease only works on predictable sound waves,
Right.
and these are completely unpredictable.
How
So
interesting.
in the micro sense, but in the macro sense, it's 165 degrees vertical and horizontal. And so if you were going to do figure out what coverage is going to be, it's pretty simple geometry.
Marty, have these guys been around for a while?
So this product was marketed by another company called Tectonic Audio. In from 2018 to 2020 until the pandemic. Their marketing strategy, they tried to go after music venues. And of course, these won't appear on any rider. and so it didn't do well. And they were gonna, they wanted to abandon the product, but it's such an incredible product in the right application that the sales manager and the engineer from Tectonic took it, started their own company, Flat Panel Audio, and that company is now a little more than a year old.
The reason why I ask is probably maybe 20 years ago, I went to I went to an office of the sound company, and it was a guy in Orange County, and I can't remember his name. I don't think he's around anymore, but and I just remember going into his conference room, which is the size of a typical conference room with a 10-foot table in it. And he had these two panels that were hanging on the wall. They looked just like pictures, except they weren't pictures, they were speakers. And they sounded great. And I have no clue what they were, and I never saw them again. And I'm sure I talked to him about them when we were there, because things like that are always interesting. But that's why I asked you how long they've actually been around, because this was probably 20 years ago.
Oh, well.
And they were hanging on the wall in the conference room. They sounded great,
Wow. So the technology is known as distributed mode loudspeaker.
Interesting.
Right. So when the panel itself vibrates, or it resonates in a modal fashion. And so, you familiar with cymatics?
No.
So you might remember in elementary science class, you take a loudspeaker, a woofer or something, you set it on a table, point it up, you put a flat board on it, you sprinkle sand all over it, and you excite it with a sine wave, and you watch the sand form patterns, right? Yeah. That's called cymatics. This actually works in a very similar fashion.
Oh, interesting.
Right? When the panel vibrates, it kind of looks like this. Like this, right here.
Oh.
Right? That's a 2K sine wave in a distributed mode panel. That's what it would look like.
Hey, Marty, quick question, Marty.
Yeah.
My Sony Bravia TV has a speaker embedded in the screen. Is this the same technology as that, or is it a different technology?
It's a very similar technology, and that was licensed from the actual originator, the first company that took distributed mode loudspeakers to market, called NXT.
NXT. Yeah, my TV sounds great. The whole screen is a speaker, and it's awesome.
Wow.
People come over and they listen to that. They go, "What?
Yeah.
How are you getting that sound without speakers?" I said, "Well, the screen is a speaker."
Oh, how
and these things, I tell you what, these things sound amazing. I'm going to be taking these out to some hi-fi enthusiasts in the DC area for them to listen to. These
I went to
audio
Gramophone
files.
when I was in your area. Gramophone, are you bringing them over to them? They are really nice shops.
Yeah, that's one of them. There's a whole club. There's a DC hi-fi interest group, and they put on a big show that's coming up like next week. The Capitol Audio Festival. They've got like 2 hotels every floor in the Hilton in Rockville, Maryland. Is going to have demo rooms. We're not going to be there, unfortunately, but after the show, I'm going to be bringing these around to some meetings and having them listen to it. These things are amazing.
I'm curious to know what you think the ultimate application for your product is.
Yeah.
So it really is pretty broad. I mean, churches, these are absolutely amazing in churches because the acoustics in most churches suck. Any kind of reverberant space, reflective space. I've taken these out to corporate gigs. We go out to a big conference room at a corporate headquarters, and it's, all glass walls and, hard floors and ceilings on marble and stuff like that. And you just can't get any kind of sound out of a QSC K-series thing because it's just all over the place. These things sound amazing. Christopher, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I was just thinking about that. So if we imagine a ripple pond, what I'm just having a hard time understanding is if you're creating pressure waves in the air, how can you make a distinction between the pressure waves created by this device as compared to a standard driver?
Okay, good question. Good question. If we take a look, so a pistonic driver, woofer, mid-range, even a compression driver, pushing air and pushing and pulling on air is a correlated sound wave. So if you were to point that at a hard flat surface like a wall and you listen to the reflection will contain all of the information from the original incident sound, right? Because everything is related. If you think about correlation, means that any two data points have a direct relationship between them. So from a pistonic driver, directivity, frequency, and phase are all correlated to each other. And reflections will be correlated to the direct sound. And that's why reflections destructively interfere when they collide with direct sound. A distributed mode loudspeaker is randomized, decorrelated, and diffuse. So I'll give you an example, like a closely related illustration. If you stand in the path of a stage light, you're going to cast a shadow behind you. And if you have a mirror, you can redirect that light, you can reflect it and redirect that beam, right? Well, let's replace that stage light with a fluorescent tube. Fluorescent tube puts out a diffuse light source. First, you're not going to cast any discernible shadow behind you, and there's no beam to reflect with a mirror.
Interesting.
Okay? So a distributed mode loudspeaker is a diffuse, uncorrelated sound source. So it's diffusion at the source.
So if it's diffused, are you getting the same 3 dB drop over distance as a classic driver, or is the dB drop more pronounced with diffuse?
So a point source has an inverse square law drop off of 6 dB per doubling of distance.
Double distance, yep.
Right? A line array is more like 3 dB.
Yes.
Because of its directivity. Flat panel DMLs are about 4 dB.
Interesting.
So the drop off is less than a point source.
I just happened to glance and go through the website there. All this sounds very interesting, but you have another product there, which doesn't seem to kind of correlate with it. Is a subwoofer add-on.
Well, yeah, actually, so there are two versions of the flat panel. The touring version,
right?
Here in the steel cabinet, right. And then the architectural version, which is the panel itself in a frame without the cabinet.
Right.
So the architectural version can be hung like a cloud in the ceiling. It could be embedded in a wall. We've actually, in a teleconference room with microphones on the table and cameras, or a beamforming microphone, we've actually had this mounted underneath the conference table, firing down off the floor, and everybody in the room hears perfectly, and there's no interaction with the microphones.
Understood.
But the company does have several subwoofers. We transition below 85 hertz. We go down to a subwoofer. There's the Dual 12, which is a kick-ass dual bass reflex, dual ported subwoofer. We've got single 18, double 18, and we're coming out with a dual 8-inch subcompact subwoofer that is the same width as the touring panel, For those applications where it's you don't need the real low end extension, but you just want something below 85, it'll go down to about 50.
But though, what type of technology? That's just standard piston.
Yeah, these are standard piston subs.
I'm actually surprised that the subwoofer mechanical motion of the subwoofer can keep up with the flat panels, because way a long time ago, just as an example, I used to sell magnaplaners, and we had MG2s and we had timpanis. And in the studio, what I discovered reasonably quickly is that people would say people had a hard time dealing with flat panels because they didn't hear the low end like the resonance of the cabinet and the slowness of a low end of a 15 or an 18 or a 12-inch subwoofer, right? So we would stick a subwoofer in there, and what would happen is the bass on the panels was there, it just had no resonance from the cabinet. And when you added a subwoofer, the woofers were not fast enough to keep up with the Mylar sheets, and it always sounded like it was a half a step behind the music because the woofers couldn't keep up with the magnaplaners. So my question to you would be, do you notice any lag or any perceived slowness in the low end? Because you're talking about a panel that's so fast, the detail's got to be scary.
And the transient response is just crazy.
And the subwoofer is inherently slow as shit.
Well, that's an interesting observation that I hadn't considered before. No, I hadn't noticed that, but I will be listening for it now.
Now, one of the things is I don't know if you have them in small, like studio sort of spaces, but when I was selling the magnaplaners, we were in a really controlled environment where, you were sitting in a sweet spot and the subs were on the floor next to the timpanis. And it was quite noticeable if you knew kind of what to listen for, In fact, what you do is shut the subwoofers off, and all of a sudden the detail in the low end was there. And when you turn the subwoofers on and you got that low extension, but it always sounded like it was like lagging or something. It was behind, So I'm not sure you'd feel that in a large space, because the large space inherently has a reverberance of its own, has a resonance of its own. But if you set them up someplace where you could do critical listening, I might say, think about that when you're doing it, and see if you hear
absolutely.
That. Because that's the one thing that I saw on the website too. I scrolled down, it's like, oh, subwoofers, that's interesting, because I know my experience with the magnaplaners, So.
Well, that's interesting, but however, because we use LEA amplifiers, these are pro amplifiers with DSP in them. I could always throw a little bit of a delay in the panels.
And
you're cheating.
Is there DSP applied to drive those speakers? Like
there's so the LEA line has tuning files for lots and lots and lots of different lines of speakers, including the flat panels. And so the crossovers are loaded in there. The voicing EQ gets loaded in there, but it's not a lot. It crosses over at 85, and there's a little bit of tuning that goes on there to fix just a couple of resonances. But it's really nice.
Is there an
Marty,
LA
I got to
office?
say one thing. I haven't seen Bruce this excited since he went to see Go Black Pink.
Hey, they were good, man. They were good.
All right, so let me just give you a little pitch, because everything that I'm saying, people call me out on this all the time. How can you say that? Because you're saying that these speakers defy the laws of physics.
They seem to.
Acoustic law does not allow for what you're saying. And it's like, okay, well, first of all, here's this. A bus has different physical limitations than a sports car does, and neither of those can do what an airplane does, okay? Piston loudspeakers operate within a certain set of physical limitations because they are pistons and they are physically moving air. It's a mechanical device. These operate on a completely different plane with different physical limitations. And so it's just different. Now, we have if you want to hear these, we have people all over the country with demo systems.
Yes.
You can request a free demo. We'll arrange for it. We'll take it out to a venue of your choice or a room of your choice, meet you there, set it up, play whatever you want through them.
Can you send me the connections to LA, because we're installing boardrooms at the Museum of Tolerance on Pico, and we've already done 2 small boardrooms, and we've had to redo it because they decided what they heard and saw with the 70-inch TVs they liked, but they wanted it to do something else that they didn't tell us.
So if you scroll down to the very bottom of the website, you'll see a link for request a demo.
Okay. Yeah, because we have 4 fairly large boardrooms to do. Plus, we're going to retool their theater with a surround system and a PA for shows on their stage. And I'd love to get my production people over there to hear these things, because
absolutely
sounds like something we could use.
These are amazing for surround sound and immersive sound systems, because they cover so much area and because they're so highly detailed. That surround this is amazing for surround sound, and in boardrooms, perfect for that. So get yourself a demo.
Now, Marty, what about the configuration of the speaker? In other words, can you modify that to be white or beige or blend into the background of the room?
Yeah, absolutely. Standard colors are white and black, but they will have them powder coated any color you want. And there is a a weatherproof version as well.
Wow.
And where are they manufactured?
In California. And the subs are manufactured in California too.
Can you silk screen on the grill pictures?
I asked about wood grain, and they said, yeah, we could do that. So I would think that might be possible.
Do the
now,
amps
how are they
take,
powered?
like Dante or Milan or
the LEA? So the standard, Pro amplifier, the LEA CS 1504D for Dante. It's a 4-channel, 1500 watts per channel with Dante.
Wow.
And DSP. It's a great amplifier. That's the standard one we use. They have better, more powerful ones and less powerful ones. I used a 704, 700 watts per channel in a church recently, and that's more than enough for them.
Well, let me ask you something. Are they self-powered?
No, not yet.
They're not self-powered.
I've been asking for that. They're looking at plate amps. If you look at here, there's a cavity right here that's going to get a plate amp in it at one point. So, but they haven't got to that point yet.
So how are they powered now? And how do you get signal into them?
So it's an 8 ohm
Is it
speaker.
fiber optic?
It's an 8 ohm speaker, and with NL4s on the back.
I was going to ask you if they had NL4s, but I thought that would be a stupid question. But
yeah,
so is it a flat 8 ohms? It doesn't change with power or frequency?
No, not at all.
Wow. That's very cool.
And they don't require a processor.
Well, the processor is built into the LEA amplifier.
So do you have to tell the amp what model speaker that you're using on the thing, a little scrolly thing on the front? Just say, it's this model or that model, so it knows
it's a file you load into the amplifier.
You do, okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested.
And what's the weight on these things?
45 pounds.
Wow.
And the mounting is a 100 by 200 Visa pattern on the back. And so it hangs like a television set, and you can get all kinds of Visa adapters. You can pole mount it, you can truss mount it, you can hang it off a wall, you can hang it from a pole, from the ceiling, just all kinds of ways to mount these things.
So you guys that are reasonably close to Los Angeles, if I arrange for a demo and we can set these up in one of the boardrooms and give them a listen, you guys are more than welcome to come and hear these things, because I know you're Christopher and Wayne, you're not that far away.
No,
I know
definitely
Wayne, you've driven back for sillier reasons than that. That happens to be a good reason.
Yeah. But these things are doing great down in Latin America. They're doing great over in Europe. We have people there. We have people up and down the West Coast, all across the mid part of the country, on the East Coast. We have people all over the place. Channel managers with demo systems that are going out and doing demos all the time.
That's great.
Well, listen, there you go, Kurt. I was hoping you were going to ask some questions.
Are they IP rated?
Oh, the weatherproof one is. It hasn't gotten tested yet, but we've had customers who had the non-weatherproof version mounted outside for like 4 years before one of them failed.
How susceptible are they to variations induced by temperature or humidity?
Minimal, because there's nothing in there that is susceptible. It's a carbon fiber board with transducers on the back that are fully enclosed. That's all there is to it. Other than the suspension, which is, pretty much steel.
And is the IP owned on this, or is it, how does that work? Just out of curiosity.
I'm sorry?
The intellectual property behind this.
Yeah.
Is it owned?
It's
or
fully patented, has been for a long time. It's very well protected.
Hey, Fred, you got any questions? Because I haven't heard you say anything.
No, I would, other than how much do they cost?
Yeah, I mean,
That's a
can you
good
give
question.
the list price?
That's a good question. The MSRP on the panel, the touring panel, is $4,000 a piece.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, that's great.
The architectural version is, I think it's $2,500, something like that.
Well, what's the
How much are
difference
the
between the two,
amplifiers?
briefly?
So the difference is basically the panel. So this is in a steel panel. This is the carbon fiber panel right here, and which is this. So the architectural version doesn't have the steel panel. On the back is the spider with the suspension points and the NL4.
So it's 16 grand for the 4 speakers. What's the 4-channel amp going for?
The 1500 watt per channel amp is, I think it's 62. Let me look it up.
That's
Fred, are you thinking
that's
about
pretty
putting this
reasonable.
in your TV room? That's it? You're
No.
putting it in your TV room?
No, I was thinking about my CPA's new house. I'm just building in, but it's a little much for that.
So there's an engineer in Nashville named Aaron Pierce. You might have heard of him. He's got flat panels in his mixer, in his control room.
I was going to say, how are they at close, like in your living room or in your studio, close?
As
point.
detailed as anything
Deerfield,
else.
yeah, Deerfield.
More detailed than anything else you've heard.
I would hope so.
Is his studio up in Goodlettsville?
Sorry?
Is his studio up in Goodlettsville?
I'm not sure where his studio is exactly.
You know the name of it?
Not offhand.
Okay.
There was another engineer too in Nashville who had him, but that gentleman left the planet, and I'm not sure what happened to him.
Right. So, Mike, you haven't asked any questions. Do you have anything you want to ask?
How about the subwoofer?
Okay, so the subwoofer, the Dual 12 retails for $3,600. The single 18 is $44, and so $4,000 for the touring DML, and the architectural version is $2,600. The amplifiers, so the 1504 Dante retails for $7,200.
Do the speakers have to be individually addressed by the amplifier, or can you daisy chain more than one speaker on an amp channel?
You can. It's an 8-ohm speaker, so you just treat them as such.
Are there connections there to do that on the back?
Yeah, there's dual NL4s on both the panels and the subs.
Do you have a picture of the back?
not handy.
Looks like the architectural version is thinner than the framed version.
Yeah, it is. It is because of the lack of the panel.
Okay, so I've got a question. Okay, so predominantly all the speakers that we use today are made out of birchwood plywood or material like that, or carbon fiber. This is made out of steel. How does that affect the sound quality?
Well, because we're not compressing air, and because there's no high pressure sound waves coming out of the speaker, we don't need to worry about that. So the Baltic birch is used because of its high density, and at the appropriate thickness, it's got a lot of mass to it, so it can stand up to the high pressure of the speakers at 90 dB or 120 dB or whatever it is. But these don't need to do that. The vibration coming out of these things is minimal. I mean, you can barely feel it vibrating with your hand on the cabinet when it's playing at full volume. And, it never really sounds like in your face loud. I go to a lot of shows, and a lot of smaller they And it really surprises me that what many people think of when they say something is, loud, what they're really hearing is distortion, usually from the horns. Right?
Yeah.
These things will not distort.
It seems so interesting to me on
smooth.
just to take this from a different perspective. But it seems to me that if they would make a smaller version of these things, this would be like a perfect application for a home, for, somebody's house.
The dimensions of the panel are critical for the frequency response and the volume. There's a lot of super brainy math that went into this by amazing physicists and scientists and mathematicians over decades and decades. This technology, distributed mode loudspeakers, you go up on YouTube and just do a search for distributed mode loudspeaker, and you'll find tons and tons of DIY homebrew stuff. People taking foam core boards, art boards, and putting fairly inexpensive transducers that you can buy off of Amazon and making really, really good sounding loudspeakers for home use. They've been doing that for years. This is the first time that this technology has been able to support professional applications. And actually there is, so Tectonic Audio, the prior manufacturer, they have a line of very small speakers that they are doing really, really well selling into the automotive market and into small smart speakers like Alexas and other things. They sound really, really good. They're very small, 3-inch, 5-inch drivers, even smaller than that. And even a couple of little subwoofer or little woofers for low frequency extension. These things are usable in kiosk displays and for commercial applications, but they, almost every vehicle out there uses something like this.
Very interesting. Anybody have any other questions for Marty?
Where's your headquarters for the company?
Los Gatos in California.
Nice
And
town.
you're not based in Los Gatos.
No, I'm on the other coast, on the right coast. But
well, this has been fascinating, really super fascinating.
Yeah, thank you.
I think
Marty.
you got everybody's attention, Marty. Is there anything in closing that you'd like to say?
I've been looking for applications where this won't fit. Very small rooms, low budget, and small stages where you can't get the the speakers off stage. Like they really like to be corner loaded in a room, because the sound that comes out of the back also reflects off of the walls and surfaces behind it. And you can draw some loose parallel to the old Bose system that had two-way, but completely different technology. But all of that sound that comes out of the back and wraps around and reflects off of all the walls just helps to support the sound power in the room. So if you were like to put it in front of a stage in where musicians are playing right behind it, that might not be the best application. Although I did another show outdoors, and the speakers were just off stage, and that worked out great. So indoors, they are fabulous. Outdoors takes a little bit more work because you want to get them in a good position so that they're not so loud on stage. They do a great job for stage fills because of the sound coming out of the back. And all the musicians were asking us to turn down their wedges because they just didn't need them as much.
Are they only direct from manufacturer, or do you have a distributor network, or how do you buy them?
We are marketing them to integrators for installations. Direct sales can go through any of the channel managers or direct from the company. So we're also marketing them to
this company.
I say integrators, but we're also going to like sound providers, production companies, PA providers. We can sign you up as a dealer as well.
So you're actually with the manufacturer. You are so, in other words, basically someone said, "Hey, I heard about you on Thinking Out Loud with Friends of SoundBroker. I would like to get this." You're not on a commission basis, I guess. You are actually the manufacturer.
I'm not an employee
staff.
of the company. I'm an independent channel manager. So yes, I make commissions on these.
So they would have to go through you then for you to get a commission of what you just presented today.
I would love that.
Well, how do we reach you then? How the hell do we reach you? God.
You can find my information on the website, atsflatpanel.com.
There you go. Very, very good. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well,
And
thanks for sharing all this.
If you go to the manufacturer site, which is flatpanelaudio.com, and you follow the link to request a demo, and if you're in my region, I will get your request and set you up.
Oh, so in other words, you're regional. So in other words, if let's say Bruce uses this in Los Angeles, then you will not get credit for it?
I can get some credit for it. Drop my name.
I was going to say, if you were a part of setting this up, then you'd be on the paperwork,
Yeah. They will know about my appearance on the show, and we work that out. We send people, cross leads all the time across the country, and there's a commission sharing structure that we've worked out quite well. Everybody's happy with it.
Well, I'll put it to you this way, Marty. Anybody who calls me, I will send them directly to you. There you go. There you have it.
Thank you so much.
Since this Clearwing demo is going on right now, and they're here in Arizona, do you have a...
Yeah, they were there. I heard them today.
Yeah, so are they on a schedule? Are they staying in town for a while? Is there someplace I can go when I get home Sunday? Maybe early next week I can go find somebody that's going to demo them and see if I can listen.
Well, that's quite possible. I don't know the schedule for all of the channel managers. So there is a Midwest channel manager. There's people in Nashville. There's people in Atlanta. There's people in California. Several people in California, Chicago, just all over the place. So if you give me a shout, and I will find out where you can go, or if you have a venue, you have a project coming up that you want to try and evaluate these at, we can set something up and bring them out to your venue.
All
I
right,
would
Marty,
love, I
do
would
me a
love
favor
this.
right now, if it's okay with you, in the chat, which won't go out to the general public, put your contact information so everybody in the room can grab it. All right? And that way they can call
I
you
would love to
directly.
hook
Yeah,
you up with the
one
people.
last question, Marty. I'm assuming somebody has tried to set these up in a cardioid arrangement just to, even though it's pleasant to hear it off the back, to actually just keep it isolated and behind.
We have not tried that. So we haven't. The only attempt that I've heard of to put these in a cabinet, somebody developed, just built a cabinet to use these, to try them out as a floor wedge.
Oh,
And I haven't heard
I
it.
just wonder if you just put one behind another 5 feet and delayed it.
Well, you could use
No,
these
because
as an
I'll tell you
amplifier
what.
for the
I'll tell you
low
what. Because it is an uncorrelated source.
Yeah.
There is no interaction between panels, and so that won't work.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Well, once they get to self-powered, I think you're really onto something, you know? Because
Yeah, I
even,
believe so too.
like big guys, guys that are strong, they could make a special harness and they could wear them as, headphones. There you go.
Yeah. So I did
like hold the arm either side and turn around and be as Leslie.
Yeah.
Put it on the pole and spin.
That's right. That's right.
There you go. Well, hey.
So,
Well,
yeah, I
hey,
hope you guys get a chance to
really
hear
good
them.
today. You did really, really, really good today. Hey, so how did you get into this? I mean, you weren't born working for this, flat panel. How did you get to the point where you, when you first started in the industry to get to here?
I was doing some consulting and integration, and I was working in a lot of houses of worship, upgrading the PA systems, upgrading mixers and routing and wiring and loudspeakers and stuff like that. And, houses of worship are really tough because very few of them are built for amplified sound. And they're, architects are not acousticians or acoustical engineers. They are strictly, for the most part, they are strictly aesthetic designers. And, acoustics in churches are just awful for amplified sound. A friend of mine said he had seen an advertisement, and I saw it as well, about these loudspeakers that don't care about reflections or care about reverberation in a room like that, and they just work really, really well. Their speech intelligibility is really, really high everywhere in the room and with such a broad dispersion. And so I looked them up, and it took a couple of years for me to find out more about them, and I talked to people who had listened to them, and to get signed up as a dealer. And I bought a system in 2019 and was just blown away by it. And then when that was from Tectonic Audio, and then when the ownership of the product transitioned to flat panel audio, I became the area sales rep. So as an evangelist for the company, and that's where we are today.
Now, were you a sound man before this, or
I've been an audio engineer for 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There you go.
Used a lot of different
thousands and
like
thousands of years
you.
of experience we have in this panel.
Absolutely. I'm talking to people
one
who
thing
know.
that I have found with church installs is that they don't want it to be obtrusive. They want it to blend in, and that is a challenge. For acoustic purposes, when you have to blend it in behind a panel, whatever. But this seems like this would be perfect for churches.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, because they're only
houses of
they're only
worship. Excuse me.
houses of worship. They're only 3.5 inches thick, right? And so they're very thin, and people mistake them for television sets. Oh, by the way, they can be mounted, portrait or landscape, vertical or horizontal, doesn't matter because it's a conical dispersion. So if you turn them around 90 degrees, the front panel looks more like a typical loudspeaker. So you can put them either way, but they take up a lot less room than a line array. I was just looking at an integrator's website. I won't mention their name. They showed it in their example installs. They showed a picture where they put line arrays on both sides of the chancel, 6 tops under 2 subs. The big black boxes that hung down from the ceiling to around head height. It was just atrociously ugly.
Yeah.
And it didn't show the size of the room, but from what I could see, it did not look like a large room. I imagine it had a balcony, which, would typically be a cue to use a line array because you need to direct the top cells to the balcony and then the back of the room and then the, front of the room. But with these speakers, I had just one pair of these in an 800-seat church with a 3-sided balcony and the 2 subs, and that was plenty. I would have put 4 in there if I had them, but 2 of them were plenty. And this was
so you're saying the intelligibility of your speakers are exceptional.
Exceptional, and they fill the entire room. Extreme left, right, extreme front and back. Everybody hears the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, very interesting.
Very interesting.
There are demos on the website. You can go and listen to some demo videos. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. We really appreciate it. We're getting to the point where now we've been on for an hour, so we've only got like a few more minutes. Anybody else have any questions, or should we, thank him very much? And hey, what could I say? Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. We hope you become a regular with us. That we would love, right, guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
seems like he's a smart guy.
It's very interesting that Marty came in on the same day that I actually saw them.
Yeah,
and heard
that's
them.
Great.
That was pretty.
Yeah,
that's serendipitous.
Yeah, now I wish I'd have gone out there today since I was scheduled to be there, but there was just too much to do today before I leave for Dallas in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there'll be
I
other
haven't heard one word
Fred.
from Mike Cars, but Mark, do you have anything you want to say, Mike? Before you have any questions, anything like that? You want to be, don't know. But hey, 1, 2, 3. Nope. Okay. Yeah, really cool. Really cool.
Paul, good to see you. Another office hours alum.
Yeah, good to see you too, Marty.
Yeah.
Where do they have a presence in Texas? Your outfit?
Yes. Yeah, Dallas. I think there's somebody in the Dallas area.
What about Austin? Do they have an outlet in Austin or office or something?
They'll go out to Austin.
What about in Arkansas? Because that's where he is right now.
Yeah,
what about in
nothing's
Arkansas?
going on in Arkansas for Arkansas.
Arkansas. Yeah, I don't know.
Where are you actually in Arkansas? I forgot. Wind Falls?
Hot Springs.
Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Oh.
He just ran into FDR there the other day, he was telling me.
Oh, yeah, right. He's taking a hot bit.
The ghost of FDR.
Awesome.
Anyway, I hope this has been helpful for everybody, and of course, Marty, you'll have the link. We're on YouTube, Facebook, everywhere else, so if you like the show, give it a thumbs up. And of course, this is an opportunity for you to use this as a presentation if you want to show it to anybody. You did great. Now, were you using Ecamm for the presentation?
No, this is OBS.
OBS, very good. Really good. Excellent. So, Kurt, what's going on? What do you think? Do you have a new line now? You can have a new line?
It's interesting. I mean, I've seen things like this. I think the older company that he's talking about, I ran into those back in the day.
Yeah. Now, Ken Porter, I don't see him right now. I see his cabinet, but I know he's listening, and there he is. So now, as far as your church, because you are big at the House of Worships, is this something that might interface in what you're doing?
I'll have to look at it and see. The other question I was wondering about, to explain, you have the steel frame and then the filaments on the back side of it or the front side of it?
The carbon fiber is in the center of the cabinet.
Okay, because years ago, it was probably early 2000s, I was in LA and Hockman drugged me out to somebody that was manufacturing something. They had it was like a magnetic steel plate that had a lot of holes in it, holes in there. And then they had a filament on the back that had, a network, electrical network in the filament.
That sounds like electrostatic speakers.
And then that's what they were doing for a thing, arena. They're trying to do an arena throw and stuff like that. It went a little bit, but it was just, I don't know if it worked.
No, that doesn't sound like this product. Originally, so the first versions of this product actually were larger, and they had ribbon drivers for high frequencies in them. And what they found was, that they didn't need them for high frequency response. And the ribbon drivers being, a 15-degree vertical dispersion actually was holding the product back. Because without the ribbon drivers, we still go up to 22K and we get the 165-degree dispersion all the way up there and all the way down to 85. And this version is smaller and a whole lot lighter, about half the weight of those.
What about like big music festivals like ACL Fest? Could these replace your big bands, rock band setups, or would it?
So I don't know if anybody's actually tried it in that application. But this is not the kind of speaker that is going to have a tremendous throw. It's not going to go 300 feet like a high-powered line array 10-degree boxes will. Not really.
I would think in the rock vein that the sound coming off the back would be a disqualifier in some applications, because
if they're mounted high enough, they won't sound objectionably loud. They will fill the stage, you will hear them, but they'll be like a side fills.
Yeah.
Now, it sounds to me like the perfect application would be something where you don't have a lot of space. You need a thin footprint. This is like a recording truck, something mobile as well. That would be a perfect opportunity for this. A church where you could put. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of applications for it that this would just be perfect. I mean, even in a situation in a corporate boardroom, which would be a good opportunity for these. So there's a huge amount of opportunity there.
Yeah, so don't get me wrong. These do sound great with live music in the right applications.
Yeah.
Especially since they are really, really feedback resistant. I mean, there's a demo on this page, on this site at the Garrett Coliseum right here. See this guy here on the right? He was stepping up he's talking into an SM58. There's 2 panels right there playing at full volume. And he was trying to get this thing to feedback, and he is like very, very cautiously getting closer and closer and closer. You got to watch the video.
Okay.
Just watch the video. And there's this one here where he goes up into the stands. There he is, 200 feet up, listening to the same 4 panels. So yeah, watch those videos.
Okay. Well, thanks, everybody. We really appreciate you coming. Watch. Remember, share the show. Give it a thumbs up. This has been our 284th consecutive week that we've met. Next week, if you could do any math, you add 1, 285. I'm not that good with math, but 1 or 2 numbers, I can handle it. Remember, everything you heard today was an opinion, except for what Marty said. That's the gospel. And I can't think of anything else. So if anybody has anything that they want to say before we say bye to the general public, we're going to stay in the room. Now's your opportunity. Okay, that's it. Remember, you make it happen, and we'll see you again next week. Stay safe and healthy, everybody. And